he
Here.
says, but the love in his heart is there. Okay.
It's about, I'll give you a clue. The title is The Elephant in the Room.
No, you did that last 2 weeks ago.
All right. So we're streaming live, we hope to
Yeah, I got the Facebook.
okay, the Facebook is there. How about the LinkedIn, Brent?
Yeah, it's there.
All right, LinkedIn is there.
And so is X.
Twitter is there. All right. And so we're streaming to our sources, ready to go. Let's get Mr. Gillmor on right there. Okay. And mute is off. And we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, and.
Hi, Steve Gillmor here. This is the Gillmor Gang.
Can you clear your throat before we start the show?
Nope.
No?
No,
Okay.
it's history.
Yeah.
There's no take two.
No take two ever.
Okay, joining us from the State of Confusion is Brent Leary.
Will I ever be allowed to not come from you from the State of Confusion?
If you come up with a better, a better one.
A better
Yeah, and not
All right.
this week for sure.
Why is
Well,
that?
there's something going on right now, apparently. So, you know.
Did they fire her yet?
No, I think it's the closing remarks
Well,
going
yeah.
on right now. The closing
Right this
arguments.
minute. Yeah.
Matter of fact, maybe I'll do a split screen of myself in the confusion state that I appear to be in. So
Is it on television? Are they video? Is it on video? Or
Yeah,
I
you
think
can get it
there's
on
a
YouTube right
YouTube
now.
stream. Yeah, you can go to you. Matter of fact, go ahead with the show and I'll catch up.
Yeah, let us know. Well,
Yeah.
it's just the closing argument. You're not going to hear any decision.
No,
That person is from the framework of Massachusetts. It's Dennis Pombriant.
Yeah, Steve, I was thinking, henceforth, would you please refer to Massachusetts as the Blue Wave Organizing Committee?
Ah.
I can guarantee you that I will not do that.
Okay, well, gotta go.
Okay. Wow.
Had to try.
Let's see if we can get any of these other guys off. Anybody else want to opt out?
You should consider calling London the place without the former guy.
Ooh.
Okay, I won't consider that either.
New view of
From the
Frank.
state of
France.
UK is Frank Radis.
yeah. Nice
Howdy,
to meet you.
gang. How you doing, Steve? Tina.
I feel the same way.
It's
Brand.
not digital, that's his actual background.
Where
No, that is a picture of my living room, actually. Keith and
Why don't you just go sit in your living
Dennis.
room
It means you've got very good
Because-
lighting because
Is
because
that
it's-
a real haircut or is it a background?
no, that's a real hair. It's dark in there now. That's
and
why.
okay. Yeah, that's right. It's dark out there.
Yeah.
It's 7:00.
Yeah. But this is my living room. So there you go. First time you've seen it.
nice.
Very nice.
Thank you.
From Palo Alto, California, the last state of the union.
apparently Tim Draper wants to turn it into 3 states.
Is what?
What?
It's Keith Chair. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on a Friday, squeezing between all my meetings.
Okay, good. So we got to hurry up here. The to my extreme right is Tina Chase Gillmor. Welcome. That's right, over here.
Yeah, no, I did something bad.
You did a bad thing.
I did a bad.
Tina did a bad thing.
Hi there. Hi everybody.
Bad to the bone.
Hot job.
Okay.
So I have a question. What's going on with all you knuckleheads in America? What is going on?
Are you still a citizen of the United States?
I am still a citizen, but
Are you
I'm
going to
also
surrender your passport or?
I don't know yet. I haven't decided. If I get my Italian passport,
Mhm.
How many passports
sometimes,
do you have?
well, I would have 3. And I think I only need 2. So
You're getting into spy territory, aren't you? Like,
yeah, but they all have the same
I-
name and the same picture. It's a little different than that. If I had a second name, on one of them. That would be
You need a
different.
secret closet where you open things up and you've got all those choices of, like 10 different passports and a few different, I don't know.
I do carry a suit when I carry a briefcase, which I don't much anymore. I used to have an envelope with lots of different types of money for different countries in it, and 3 or 4 Krugerrands, because I always felt that if I got stuck somewhere,
Really?
everybody takes gold.
Why has the judge got a Confederate flag on the bench?
It's
What?
Georgia, man. It's Georgia. This is the South, man. This ain't Cali.
But the judges have Confederate flags.
Okay.
That's
Let's
new.
fair use this, Brent.
That's the one of the former state flags, actually. Yeah. We used to have the stars and bars on the state flag.
Yep.
Okay, I'll address any attorney's fees to you, Brent, on this.
What are you talking about? I just
Fair
said.
use. Well, this is another network. You're broadcasting.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, let
That's
me
all
go
right.
back to our regularly scheduled.
Isn't that the YouTube that you're broadcasting there?
Yeah, it's the 11 Alive stream from YouTube. They want us to.
Oh, well,
It is what it is.
Live.
11 Alive
That's
I'll
a
keep-
local
I'll
station.
keep you abreast of what's going on
tonight
if I can.
on 11 Alive. Did
So,
Fonnie
so
Willis?
the big news this morning was Elon Musk is suing Sam Altman for subverting OpenAI's not for profit original mission. And now 2 of the most hated people on the planet are suing each other, and people are going to have to choose sides between hated person A and hated person B.
Isn't this some kind of a moral thing that this is all about?
Which is really funny.
Absolutely. It's
and Elon Musk is on
about, are we going to let Microsoft rule the world or not?
That is the core of his claim, is that OpenAI is a tacit subsidiary of Microsoft.
Well, as we see with the Supreme Court, we don't have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
It's
So
all
as we see with the
capital
Supreme-
versus civilians, and
we don't have,
you
we have
know,
nothing to say about anything.
that's
if
what
you-
I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
part of-
funny. You just said we have nothing to say about anything, and then you just said that's what I'm saying. That's going
Well,
to
there
make for
you
a really
go.
good
And
clip.
Hey,
wherever
you
you
got
go.
a
Now,
Great
clip.
clip farming.
It's going to
as
be a
we
good
go.
clip coming up.
Make a note. Make a note.
It's the only time that he can actually do it, because once he gets into reruns, he's got hours and hours of work. So the only way he can really find anything is at the moment.
Right. And that moment took place about what? There's no timestamp on this thing. All
I
right.
am totally lost. I have no idea what we're talking about now.
Let's
You
move
brought
on.
it
Let's
up.
move along.
It's
Well,
okay.
I mean, you like these clips that he puts out, Keith. So is that just you like the fact that you're in a clip?
Oh, Brent's clips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ultimately narcissistic in stream, and
I like
it-
you titled it Brent's Clips.
I remember when I was still an undergraduate going to dinner with a couple who were both teachers, and at one point I said to the woman, "Do you like me?" And she was kind of blown away that you would ever ask that question out loud. And I had no clue that it was a weird question. I still don't.
How's that going for you?
It's disarmingly charming, I would say.
Okay. We'll be back to tips.
Dating tips from
and tricks.
Keith.
Yeah.
But I do think
that's-
the Musk thing is the first time when I think he's made a stupid mistake, even though his intent
The
is, as you
first.
say, Steve. There is no way OpenAI has any duty to stick to its original mission any more than any other company does. Missions evolve and change for all kinds of reasons, and as long as there's no fraud involved, it's all fair game. So Musk is basically just spending money to have to go off in a huff.
Well, Keith, didn't the company change its charter to for profit about a year ago or 18 months ago?
It It's never officially done that. Although all of the things it did do, which is change its organized structure to have a for-profit that is managed by the not-for-profit, the whole structure was changed to facilitate a subsidiary that's for-profit. And that subsidiary is, the core of the business. And the old not-for-profit basically is now the board of directors, which, as we know, went through a change. So it was more aligned to the for-profit. But they've never officially declared we're now for-profit.
Yeah, that's like what is it? Alphabet putting a question mark after "Don't be evil." I mean, what are you saying?
Did they do that?
Oh, I just did that.
Oh,
Don't be evil? Question mark.
no, I'm saying that there's no legal basis for having there's no case to be answered, because a company doesn't have to stay not for profit. It can do whatever it wants.
Now you're
Is that
saying
is
some of
that the
these-
basis of the suit? Is that the
Yeah.
basis of the suit that
Yeah,
that they went from being they said, hey, we promise we'll be a not-for-profit, and then all of a sudden they decided, well, we're going to make money now. So that's
you can,
basically
well, look, so
that
Musk,
sounds legit.
you can agree with Musk's point, which is that if OpenAI was open source and not for profit, its contribution to humanity would be better. I think he's probably right about that. Then you can also say the fact that they chose not to do that is within the range of decisions they could make and is not in any way illegal. So he hasn't really got a leg to stand on, even though his moral posture is probably correct. That said, he's the owner of X.AI, which is a for-profit
Amoral.
And you wonder if competitive spirit is
all comments that could be construed as Gillmor gang related are hereby void.
No,
Another-
I'm
what Frank
yeah.
just said, I totally disagree.
What did Frank just
I
say?
just that was a joke.
I don't know, but I'm just pointing out that we're having a little laundry here of any kind of legal questions that could be raised.
Nah,
No, that was locker room talk, Steve.
nah. But
Is that good or bad?
but so Keith, you're just saying like this is just like a pivot,
It's
which happens all the time. Like there's very few companies that don't pivot.
it's a highly contentious pivot, both internally to OpenAI and externally.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
OpenAI. Now, what was that about? The name of the company?
Open.
yeah, exactly. So they originally began. We all know the history, so let's not repeat it. But the fact is that Elon doesn't like the way it's gone. You can agree with them on that, yet
Well, he spent a
disagree
lot
that-
of money. That's fair.
Yeah. And that, but he's not a majority shareholder, and the company has gone in a different direction. I mean, that's happened to me a few times in my life. I mean, move on.
Okay, so what else?
Kind of like free speech.
So, okay, so
Exactly.
But are you saying that he's are we gonna guess as to why he's doing this? Just wants to be in the public eye? I mean, he's in the public eye enough. So is he just wants to stir up trouble? Is he looking to position himself as the moral leader here, or what? Like, what's going on? Why is he doing it?
It's very hard to tell, but he's obviously motivated partly by irritation or anger or both, because it isn't what he wanted. And, he is the richest man in the world, so he usually gets what he wants.
Uh-huh.
How does that figure?
Because
There's been very little evidence, given X's stock price or market cap, that he gets what he wants just because he's the world's richest man.
Well, he does what he wants.
I think he's doing a fantastic job at X, and I think he is getting what he wants. They announced live video with audience this week, The features is shipping. It's now got a writing environment that's pretty decent. It came live a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I think
More-
Substack is out and engineering them heavily. So
Yeah, but Substack doesn't have anything close to the relevance to everyday life that X has. X is outperforming.
that's like saying that Windows is the dominant operating system. It probably is, but so what?
No, X is different. It's got the core of humanity who are debating and discussing things
Got
on it.
most of the core of what used to be Twitter, just ignoring it. They may
No,
still be.
no.
Oh, absolutely.
No, only a bunch of zealots.
Oh,
Well, I think isn't there still an argument out there as to a large number of what is considered a user of X is actually a bot?
yeah, I'm sure that's true.
He's tried to close. He distinguished between bad bots and good bots. A bad bot is a spammer, and a good bot is an automation intended to notify you of things you should care about. So there's different kinds of bots, and he tried to get rid of the bad bots by insisting on evidence that you're real and limiting functionality if you don't do that. So,
But this is a problem
honestly,
only
if you
for people that go to the algorithmic feed. I mean, if you follow who you follow, then none of this is relevant.
I don't know that that's true. It might be
Well,
true.
I know it's true for me because I don't look at the other thing except occasionally just to see whether there's anything interesting there, and there usually isn't.
You might follow some information bots. I mean,
If they become, in my mind, spammers, I stop following.
yeah, that was.
But
I mean,
but a blue check now is something that you pay for. So how is it determined, other than you paying for that, that you are real?
you can get validated, but I think you're right. Most people pay. I pay. Why not? It's not very much. And I mean, I've just opened it, and I've got Musk, Biden, Andrew Chen, Rohit Krishnan, who's a great writer, Chris Fralick. I mean, these are people I care to know what they're writing about. Jason Lemkin, Paul Buchheit from Google, ex-Google, Chamath Palihapitiya.
Do you follow them?
These ones I probably follow, some of them. Others are replying to people I follow. But if I click away from that to latest tweets, which is the algorithm
Channel, yeah. No.
and I do the same again.
What were you on before you clicked away?
I was on
Follow?
tweets that are recommended for you, which is the best. That's the algorithm. Now I'm just on latest tweets, and it's nowhere near.
I only see two things when I look at X. There's the one on the left and the one on the right. I believe the one on the right, at least on my interface, is follow, who you follow.
Well, there's a little star in the top right-hand corner of the Mac app that it lets you change the timeline from home, which is tweets recommended for you, or latest tweets, which is just the stream, which is dictated by who you follow. Now, I follow a lot of people that are less not interesting all the time. So my follow feed is less useful than my algorithmic feed. The algorithmic feed is nailed on good.
Well, I'm okay with Musk's allowing people that I disagree with to be in the main feed. I also don't look at the main feed very much because I don't like my blood pressure getting any higher.
Yeah. I don't tend to see stuff I disagree with very much. I mean, yeah, I mean,
that's an interesting point.
There was a
I feel the
conference
same.
yesterday. Just say this one thing. There was a conference yesterday in LA run by Mark Suster, who is the head of Upfront Ventures. And he does this annual conference, which gets about 2,000 people from the startup and venture industry, plus Lady Gaga was on the stage. Novak Djokovic was on the stage. My wife was attending. And there was a massive debate. about the Google stuff, the Gemini stuff, and the changing history to align more with diversity. And Joe Lonsdale, who's a very well-known young VC, was, you know, playing the role of Elon, which is saying how ridiculous it is to edit history. And there were other people like Katie Stanton, for example, who used to be at Twitter as a product manager, liking the fact that they were editing history because history sucks. And so that was a debate amongst people who are peers, who like each other, who work together. So what that really tells you is the world is full of disagreement on core issues, and Twitter reflects it, and you can't avoid it, right? Why would you want to?
You know, I was thinking about what you were saying, Keith. I think there was a period of time when it became X that there was if you looked at a curve, there was a downwards trend in the curve, and there was a lot of sort of disagreeable content. And I actually think that disagreeable content has become less, and so the curve is going back up, I think. So I am less unenthusiastic about being on Twitter. What I don't like about Twitter is the ads.
Yep.
But
you can pay to get rid of them. I don't have any ads because I pay the pro level to not have ads.
Okay, so what else?
Anyway, there's that.
Yeah.
What about Apple? What about Apple signaling the end of their electrical car stuff and doubling down on AI? Like, why did it take them so long to double down on AI like everybody else has been over the last year and a half?
Accidents. I think that they had so many problems with the cars. This gave them an opportunity to go and follow the trend. I'm sure they were looking at it. I'm sure it was already being used, but it seems to me that they saw an out for something that was not working right now.
Well, as far as I know, they didn't have any cars. Did they?
No, they didn't. They never had a TV or a car. They were working on both of them.
Okay.
They did buy a whole bunch of cars and started driving them around, self-driving.
Yeah.
To learn, to train models, basically.
That's a product, is what I was saying.
But yeah, it wasn't a product. You're right.
Yeah.
So
the other thing you got to keep in mind is there's usually a difference between when something is announced and when a policy change is made internally. I'm sure the policy change happened probably 6 months ago, and they didn't want to announce it until they had a handle on it.
Well, they had an excuse, is what I think Brent was.
And an excuse and a good timing. Good timing.
Well, why is Apple? I mean, you remember like Siri was it 2011 when they came out with Siri, which was, you know, the supposedly the maybe it wasn't the AI assistant, but it was some kind of an assistant. You know, it talked to you or you talked to it, and it tried to do stuff. They were so far ahead of everybody at that point. I mean, of course, Amazon came out with got to look around. I think I
Yeah, don't say it
Alexa. So long ago. It just feels like Apple is kind of, I mean, you know, they kind of slept a little bit on all this AI stuff, and you know, with all the popularity of these co-pilots, and they're basically assistants. The original mobile assistant company just slept, and now everybody is getting all the credit for all the AI and Gen AI stuff, and here they come like this week. Hey, we're there too. I mean,
you know,
it's
funny that you mentioned that. Alexa just started being the way to navigate.
We can hear.
It became the way to navigate Audible on an iPhone.
Really? That's interesting.
It just literally just started today, I think, or yesterday.
If you go back to the acquisition that led to Siri, what both Amazon and Apple had figured out is natural language processing. In other words, they'd figured out how to listen and understand what you're asking for. What they hadn't figured out was how to get you the answer.
Mm.
So what they did is they hand mapped questions to answers, and when they failed, they gave you a web search, and they failed a lot. So over time, they had all these custom data sets with structured question trees, if you will, that was not at all AI. It was just mapping, and that's still where they are, probably slightly more advanced, but roughly still where they are. And I'd say from a completely different direction, OpenAI emerged, having figured out the back bit. The amazing thing is Apple has got a brand, Siri, that will survive this, because if Siri gets an intelligent backend, it'll just get better and better and better, and it'll still be Siri, and probably the same for the Amazon one as well, if they focused on that. What OpenAI did amazingly, and I think almost by accident, is create this chat interface that also owns the front end. And so when you think of the value chain of AI is the input, and the voice input on iPhone for ChatGPT is fantastic, and the voice responses are as well. I mean, Siri's not even in the same ballpark. So, but I do think Apple, because it owns the iPhone and the iPad and the Vision Pro and the Apple TV, once they get the back end right, they'll still own the user experience.
You spoke with James Poulter at Vixen Labs, I think, Keith. That's exactly what they're working on here, to integrate the AI and the voice applications, so that the voice and AI are working together. And that's exactly what they're concentrating on, which I think is, it's a pretty amazing thing. I believe that it'll be the future of the streaming search.
Yeah.
Question, Keith. How often have you used the Vision Pro in the last 2 weeks? How many times?
I use it at least once a day. I'm not yet using it for work. The keyboard mouse screen interface is not yet good enough. Wearing the thing on your face isn't really the problem. It's the ability to type and navigate and get work done. It slightly slows me down.
Can you use voice instead of typing?
I tend not to be a big voice user, but you could. But when I speak a thought, the grammar comes out way worse than when I write a thought. You can tell it's spoken. So I did it once. I once did my editorial as an experiment, speaking it. And it did sound more kind of natural, but it didn't feel like good writing. So I think the no-brainer use case is entertainment related. It just blows you away. I watched Dune 1 in 3D in what they call theater mode.
What's Dune 1?
Dune.
D-U-N-E.
Dune.
Sorry, it's my English. And then
Dune.
In theater mode, it says, do you want to be on the back seat or the front seat? And do you want to be on the balcony or the ground level? Depending on what you choose, the screen shifts. It comes. If you say you want to be on the
What
front,
did you say? Did you say the screen
shift?
The screen shifts.
Oh, you said something
Brad,
else.
please.
That's why I was like a little thrown off. I was like, I don't want that on my eyes,
No, it shifts. And basically, if you choose front seat, ground floor, the 3D, you're pretty much in it. And it is.
Do you get slightly queasy automatically?
No, you don't. It doesn't. all the movement is outside. Inside, there's no shakiness on movement. It's very stable. Even when you move your head, the screen stays fixed, just as it would in real life.
Hmm.
So I've got to believe, I've noticed that Dune 2 is not in 3D in the theaters. I've got a sneaking suspicion Apple's going to start buying the 3D rights to lots of stuff, because where you can only see it in 3D on the Vision Pro, and they'll pay to not put the 3D in the theaters.
Hmm.
I asked you this before when you bought the device, but have you done any more with your phone to shoot in 3D and then see how it looks on the device?
Yeah, I shot my kids' lacrosse game this week, not the whole game, but snippets. And what you learn is the cameras in this, the thing has cameras as well. If I had the cojones to go to the game wearing it and filmed in 3D using the cameras on the mask, it's way better than the phone.
What do you edit with? Do you edit with Premiere
You
or
can't
something like
edit.
that? You can't edit.
You can't edit. You've got to you have to just take the clips as they are. So there's no good editing tool yet.
Yep.
But the phone, you have to hold it steady, otherwise you do get that seasick feeling.
So you could use a gimbal though.
Well, what Apple does for their 3D videos is they have fixed cameras, but they have lots of them.
If I want that seasick feeling, I just watch MSNBC.
There you go.
All righty
But-
then. That
but
was a
like-
nice segue.
They did this famous singer, I'm blanking on her name now, but they did this recording session with her, Alicia Keys.
Hmm.
And
Oh, how could you blank out on a all right, sorry.
no, but you put the thing on, and Alicia Keys is looking at you
That
like
would be
6
great. I
inches
wouldn't
away
like
from
that.
your 6 inches away from your face.
This is
And
getting
then
better.
she turns around and her band are there and she's talking, and they break into this song. And as she's singing, she turns around and comes towards you like she's right there.
Mm.
And when you look in the room, they've got these white pillars, each with stereo cameras in, and they're just cutting between the cameras, and the cameras are not moving. The people are moving, but the cameras are fixed, and it works incredibly well.
I
Well,
think,
There you go, Brent. Now you got to buy one.
I
Yeah.
think you just sold Brent.
Yeah, if I had heard this, maybe I would have gone out and bought it. But can I go back to like a flashback to like several weeks ago?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
When when Keith got his Vision Pro and we were talking about it, and he made this statement of how brave they were to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't buy that at all. But what I'd like to tie this back to, the car thing is like these guys got so much money that they print every freaking quarter that they can try
every
all
day.
sorts of these stupid things, not stupid, but things that if they don't work, they'll be all right. And if they do work, they'll even be better. So giving up on the car thing, it wasn't a brave thing to do. It was just, I guess, a financially proper thing to do. I think this Vision Pro thing, once they get their act together on really solving that AI problem, that Gen AI problem, in being able to tie that to Siri and to this Vision Pro thing, they're on the cusp of like huge, ridiculous kind of opportunities that I don't see anybody else having. Because they do own the phone and they still, Siri is there, and nothing's getting better on the mobile phone right now. Maybe this audio file thing is, but this is the opportunity that Apple has, tying all this with and putting real AI and Gen AI capabilities into these, the one dominant thing they already have and the one potentially dominant thing that they could have.
Well, I think their only contribution to a car is software, maybe design as well, but software before design. And they've got most of the car companies now to adopt this new version of Apple Play that takes over the entire dashboard of every car that is in it.
CarPlay.
Yeah,
CarPlay.
CarPlay thing. Yeah.
So CarPlay is going to take over the driver dashboard, the middle dashboard that has all the controls in, And if your car has a third dashboard for the passenger, it's going to take over the whole thing. And so the experience in a car will be an Apple experience, no matter what the car is. And I'm going to guess that that gets them most of what they want. Now, the only reason to do a car then is business reasons.
Oh, and they must have used whatever they were doing with the cars to create the dashboard.
CarPlay is
Because-
becoming wireless as well. Like in my car, you don't need to have USB. You get into the car with your phone. The dashboard, you just press one CarPlay
Yeah, but those
button.
are third-party products at the moment.
No, it's built in.
No,
Like,
it's Apple CarPlay.
Apple CarPlay is wireless now in most new
Yeah.
cars. And there's also a charging pad. So you put your phone on a charging pad, it takes over all the screens in the car. And now you have an Apple car without, but you're in a Mercedes or a Ford or a Subaru.
Yeah, well, that was the strategy behind Apple TV.
Well, it's not self-driving yet. It does use phone-based GPS systems, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I do also suspect, and I don't know if this is true, but I suspect the software challenge of self-driving, it's become obvious to them that it's a lot harder than they thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
maybe-
Keith, one thing that I noticed is that in my car, the manufacturer, which is Toyota in my case, the manufacturer maintains control of all of the acceleration and braking and lane shifting and things like that. That might be the Mason-Dixon line for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that feels right. I don't think Apple has an offering there anyway.
Yeah, and I don't think the manufacturer wants to get sued because Apple was driving the car wrong.
Correct. And is the other thing that's evolved is Tesla made a bet a while ago to take LiDAR out of the cars and to use cameras, and everyone said they were nuts. And I've seen the latest demos of, it's called self-driving 12 point something, from people who have been given access to it. And it is a massive step up in what the Tesla can do. Just use cameras.
Explain what LiDAR means and
LiDAR.
Take me to your LiDAR.
LiDAR is basically radar. It uses
It's side scanning radar.
Yeah, so it's not visual. It's using sound and infrared, I guess, and all kinds of things.
so they took it out, and what did they do to
basically Musk said cameras can do all this using machine learning models for driving using visual.
And
everyone said he's nuts.
Do you
so
think
far everyone was right?
So Keith, do you think he was right when he said that?
I thought it was a good instinct. I don't know enough about computer vision to accurately assess it. I've worked with computer vision for many years, and I've often worked with teams that failed to deliver on the exact things they were trying to do. So I was a bit of a skeptic, but I will say the latest demos, which are on YouTube for self-driving 12, it really surprised me how good they were.
Did they demonstrate how that works with cameras at night?
Yep.
So
they use different parts of the spectrum, obviously, basically they have a central database that learns from every car. The model benefits from every example. This guy drove one down a street where cars were stopping in front of me. It was a very busy street on a Friday night, a retail street, with delivery vans stopping and it having to navigate stop signs where there were pedestrians. I mean, there was a lot of kind of issues, and it dealt with, and he compared the prior version to this version. He'd done the same drive before, and it was night and day better than the previous
Well,
one.
you've actually talked me out of buying that 2014 Bentley I was going to buy.
Buy the Bentley. No, but you know what, Keith, you make a very interesting scenario there, that I think calls into question some of Musk's business acumen. What he essentially did was, before the technology was ready, he employed a burn your boats on the beach strategy, and that failed. The idea that the technology would get better, yeah, we live in the 21st century. I can buy that, but as a pure business gambit, I think it failed.
We
Well,
were,
another
I
way
mean,
of looking at it is that he massively continues to succeed.
Well, he massively continues to be sued by dead people's estates, because the technology wasn't ready.
Well,
you know, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because the evidence I see is leaps and bounds better than anything else I see.
Not arguing that one.
Hey, Justin Bieber bought one of the trucks. So there you go.
So why is he getting himself bogged down in a lawsuit against OpenAI then? I mean, it's some of this stuff, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Like, why, if he's got a big lead in this electrical vehicle stuff, seems like he should be focusing more on that. Apple is just kind of throwing in the towel. There seems to be a lot of opportunity to just focus and not spread yourself all over the damn place.
The guy has ADHD. Focus is not part of that equation.
That's a shame.
Guys, I have to drop. I apologize.
Thanks, Keith. See you next
See you all
time.
next week. Yeah.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Ciao.
Maine. That's what you
Lame
want to
brain.
say. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to make this a relatively short one. Anybody got anything else that they want to?
Oh, I wanted to say something about Richard Lewis.
Mm.
He, you know, of course, he passed away. He was one of the funniest guys. I mean, his whole demeanor was just funny to me. The way he walked around, and you know, and then when he came, I mean, I know he was on that show with Jamie Lee Curtis, which I really liked, but I liked that mostly for Jamie Lee Curtis. Richard was great too. But I really loved him on Curb, and knowing like him and Larry were like friends since like kids.
Summer
Birth.
camp.
Oh my God. I mean, and you
They're
could see
born
that
3 days
relationship,
apart at the same hospital.
the relationship that they had is you knew it was what we saw on the camera. You knew it was the exact same off camera. And that's what was really great to see that, and to see more of him in the way that they interacted. And yeah, he was just a really funny guy. And even the last time he was on Curb, do you remember the episode, the thing that it was about
On the
him?
golf course.
Yeah, him, you know, putting Larry in his will. And Larry's like, I don't want your stuff. You know, it's like, well, I'm showing affection to you, and you're gonna take that stuff. You know, it was just so, it was such
Yeah,
a funny thing.
I found that appearance hard to watch
He
because
didn't look great, but that
you know,
interaction was great.
oh yeah, I mean, he said in an interview a few weeks ago, he was talking about um, where he and Larry would derive. Well, I forget the word. It wasn't a bit. It was more like a scenario for what they were going to do on the show because it's mostly improvised. But after they figure out what the deal is, and it was an interesting. If you if you if you are around those people, and by those people I mean, you know, the comedians, stand-up comedian, which was an era that we're now moving out of. I'm sure that there are incredibly talented people coming, but this was the heyday of the stand-up. They all had some kind of process for getting close to this kind of alternate person that was a lot them, but also a lot more general and relatable by the audience. And he was the king of that.
I liked what you wrote for the last Gillmor gang that you posted, Steve. I thought it was really good. And because you knew him, didn't you?
No, I didn't
had-
really. I met him, but I didn't know him.
But I liked how you talk
So
about how
I
he
was
and
around him.
He and Belzer were so much alike in that sort of zeitgeist in stand-up comedy that, and I had never met him. I'd just seen him a couple of times, and
But we kind of knew that we had met him.
Yeah.
There was very little difference between his persona and his spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day I miss Belzer more and more. So does Tina, and so do you. I mean, I I've had 4 experiences with Frank, one of which was at CNN, where Frank will interrupt whatever is going on to tell me about a friend of mine being dead. So there was.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
It's true. Richard Manuel was on. Paul Butterfield was another. Bells.
Yeah.
And then of course your text about Richard Lewis. It's not a good list to be on, but it so exemplifies the spirit of these people.
Interestingly enough, Steve, there was a story that I posted on my newsletter today about late night shows and how they have managed to continue, at least at late night, some of the sense of what we used to have with stand-up comedy. Now these are all the regular late night shows that Kimmel and even Oliver and Saturday Night Live. It's like the only place. It's like stand-up comedy still exists, but that's where it exists.
I think that's true. Has anybody seen the rebirth of John? What's his name?
Stewart?
Stewart?
Yeah, it's good.
What do you think, Dennis?
I don't think the guy's missed a step.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I think he picked up a step.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's certainly got plenty of material to work with.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and he's only got one night a week to do it with.
Yeah, but I wonder what his involvement. He's also the executive producer of the rest of the week. So he, even though he's not doing the show himself those other nights, he's still the overseer of it. I think it could just be that it's a title
right, but the executive producer in Hollywood means
money.
Have something to do with the money.
Yeah, so I don't really know what his role is as executive producer in television. With that form of television, is less about the money than it is about the operational involvement. So Lorne Michaels, as the executive producer of Saturday Night Live, for example, was actually more like a director.
Yeah, well, Lorne Michaels is earned the title.
Yeah,
he earned not having to have a title. Which is really
well. It looks to me like Stewart. If Comedy Central was a tech company, Jon Stewart would be the chief technology officer.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Seinfeld's mastery of the comic form. He's a technician that is funny, but watching how he'll slice and dice 15 or 20 words, and he'll change them around. He'll start them differently. He does all this thing. At a certain point, he goes, "Okay, that's it."
Yeah.
It's not that it's perfect. It's the best he can do.
I actually thought that the Belzer's style and was much less. Was much less. It was more from his observations and immediate, than it was trying to hone it. It never felt like he tried to hone it.
Yeah, I wasn't relating it to Belzer so much as
No, I know.
as
Just-
John Stewart, because I was
Yeah.
never a huge fan of John Stewart, but I look forward to watching the recording of his show. I haven't done it this week, but the news has been so brutal in Trump world that. So what do we think? Is it over?
One last point about the comic thing.
I'm not changing the subject.
Oh, okay. Well, the last 5 minutes sounds, if we abstract it, it sounds like you're describing jazz.
Absolutely, but it's
Yeah.
internal. I mean, I've always looked for some sort of continuum there. What is it? Because it's a lonely job.
Yeah.
You're basically sentencing yourself to solitary confinement.
And that's maybe why a lot of good stand-up comics actually made good dramatic actors. But I thought that also that was a very good point, Dennis, because if you were to look at that episode of Curb, that whole sequence on the golf course felt like jazz to me. It was the way they played together.
They
Yeah,
were improvising. They were doing some
and you don't try for perfection.
I think perfection would have been a problem.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you play the mistakes. You don't necessarily fill all the holes just because there's a hole to fill. And you play the mistakes. And that's sort of a musical theory that certainly works in that form of comedy.
Yeah.
That jazz that Dennis speaks about is really, really apparent when you see a group of comedians who like each other together.
they're riffing off each other.
Backstage at Caroline's than
Oh
before.
Yeah.
It's and for them, and I with Steve and I were speaking about this about Richard Lewis, and it was super obvious. We were listening to him, or it was something that he wrote about how he so wanted to get like insulted by Susie Essman, and he just have enough of those scenes with her, and he would do anything to, like she had her own show, like he begged to be on it. And you can just see that it was that really, really magical time where they could be together. And if they could get another comedian who they appreciated and loved to laugh, that would be better than a whole arena full of people to them. I mean, it was gold.
Yeah.
And it's also striking, I think, unless I'm just getting older and I think that, everyone's leaving too soon, but it seems like we've lost a lot of comedians kind of youngish, like not quite where you'd expect them to leave us. And in the last, I don't know, 5 years, I mean,
How old was Bob Einstein? Because he was along with that group too.
He wasn't in that group, but he was definitely in that age.
well, Gilbert,
Well, no, but Curb, he was right there. Curb, him and Larry were great on Curb, and then even Richard Lewis when they were all together, those guys were just riffing off each other like crazy. It was hilarious.
I gotta think that's exactly why he does that sort of casting.
Yeah.
All of them.
Susie fits in like a glove with
Smooth. That. Oh man, come on.
JB. Oh yeah, they're all great.
He cracks me up. I just look at him and I start laughing.
Well, Larry says when he's doing a scene with JB, they have to like stop because he can't stop from laughing. As soon as the guy starts talking, you can see Larry's face is trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
There's this great Seinfeld clip that I saw in the last few days of Seinfeld and what's the woman's name?
Julia
Louis-Dreyfus.
And they're doing this thing at a funeral, and it's impossible to understand. It's like a clip outtake reel. It's impossible to figure out what the actual scene is because Julia keeps breaking up at the same point, and it's not that she's breaking it up as part of the scene. It's that she just gets to that point and can't and loses it.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious. And it, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it any better than that.
Well,
I mean, these people are geniuses of an era that, you know, the Beatles channeled the Goon Show, Spike Milligan and Peter Cook and Dudley Moore and all those earlier forerunners, and that birthed Monty Python. And I mean, we all have or some of us have a good friend who just doesn't understand what the point of comedy is. And he's one of the funniest people I know. And I won't say who it is.
It's interesting that I don't think I mentioned this before, but this is really morbid. I started to write a list of all of the journalists that I've worked with in the last 50 years who have passed away, and it's now gotten to be 2 pages. It's really sad, and it's that time, and you get to that time in your life when that stuff happens, and it's hard.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, I'm just
Ready to
I'm
start
just,
the weekend now. Thanks for
I'm just, I'm sorry that it sounds so morbid, but
This could be like an anti-clip.
yeah,
Brent.
anti-clip.
It's like, it starts
anti-clip.
low and keeps going down.
Hey, look, let me tell you about this. There is an interesting show on. It's called Spaceman. It just started on Netflix, and it stars a comedian who plays an intense dramatic role. What's his name? The guy at Happy Gilmore.
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. You can't imagine Adam Sandler in this role. He plays a spaceman on a years-long trip to Saturn or something alone. It's really something. It doesn't feel like The Martian. It feels totally different, but it certainly doesn't feel like Adam Sandler. And there's some real surprises in it too. So
Adam Sandler blew me away with that other dramatic role that
I remember
name of that film escapes me.
It was different, but it was basically Adam Sandler stretching out on the dramatic side, and he was excellent.
It was,
yeah. You would not know that this was Adam Sandler if you didn't know this was Adam Sandler.
On the other hand, Jerry Lewis is a drama.
Jerry Lewis?
Yeah.
Look out. Terrible.
Steve doesn't often like when comedians go dramatic. I do. Bill Murray, for instance, I love him in his dramatic roles.
Yeah, but they're always very
Bill Murray.
What?
They're always Bill Murray.
No,
I think he's good.
I
think he's good. Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah, Steve doesn't like when they go.
No, I think all. I mean, they're all. I mean, there's the musician, the solo artist, the stand-up comedian, and and what?
I don't know, but that sounds like the beginning of a joke. What happens when the musician, the solo artist,
as a
the
writer,
comedian
we've
go
been
into a bar?
We've been watching a terrible series, which I don't think you recommended. So you're off the hook on
No,
that
I think you did.
Really?
Which one?
The Feud?
Oh,
No, I did not recommend it.
we're going to talk about the new line.
Yeah, but no, it's the new look. But I will recommend something now. Also, I will recommend that you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's really got some amazing video effects, and it's I want to say it's like a cartoon come to life. It's interesting to watch, and it's pretty good. I've gotten stuck into it, and I just finished binging Griselda. I don't know if you saw that or not, but that stars the woman from the Hispanic actress. What's that? From Modern Family, who plays the cocaine godmother. It is really good and worth checking out.
I've heard that. That's on our list, I think.
Yeah, I
I
just
don't often like the drug cartel movies.
me neither. But I wanted to. I just felt like you know what? I've actually got a few hours where I have to sort of sit and be stationary, and I started watching it and I enjoyed it. Worth
Yeah.
watching.
Okay, I just want to hear a little bit about the today we've got like 5 trials simultaneously decomposing.
Like it's gonna matter. Is it gonna matter?
Nobody wants to talk about it, huh? That's a good sign.
I'm not worried.
Something just came across my screen here. Jack Smith's alternative in Trump.
Look.
Let me
We're seeing a real seesaw.
hang on a second. I want to hear what you have to say, but I want to hear what Frank just said.
Jack Smith's alternative in Trump's presidential immunity case. Supreme Court may decide Trump's presidential immunity case in the very broad terms, leaving enough room for Prosecutor Smith to put Trump on trial, a former federal prosecutor has said.
Okay, Dennis, go ahead.
We've been watching a seesaw of events. Last week was pretty good for the blue team. This week seems to be a little better for the red team. I think if you look at things like the Michigan primary and some of the deep polling, if this Trump thing goes down to the election, I don't think Trump's going to be able to win it. Not only that, but there was a map I put into the chat during the week, or whatever you call it, on the thread, that showed all of the states that were challenging Trump's eligibility, and every one of the 4 largest states in the union, California, Texas, Florida, and New York, have pending not legislation, pending litigation against Trump. It's a lot of
and then Illinois.
Waiting. Right. It's a lot of this is waiting on the Supreme Court. But
who's going to throw it out?
I don't know that.
I don't know anything, but I would put it low on the list.
I think there are enough things going wrong for Trump. He is swimming upstream in a lot of different ways. He looks vulnerable. It does not look like he is the master of all things in his life right now. It's going to take a lot to bring him down, but a lot is out there.
I thought that sorry, I want to say something about this. I thought that the Supreme Court did what it did because of the conservative majority, and as a favor to Trump. Seems to me that's the only reason to go against the lower court's ruling, knowing in their heart of hearts, if they have hearts, knowing that they will eventually make a decision that goes against Trump, and at least they've made an effort, and they can feel that they have done their due diligence and their duty for their liege.
Well,
maybe. It's just the way I'm thinking.
Want to be true. I hope that is. I think that's interesting thinking. Maybe.
Yeah. The timing thing is what bothers me.
Could be a very short trial.
So you're saying they're throwing him a bone now because they're going to snatch it away later?
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Okay.
Well, there is some evidence that is the Chief Justice's MO. On the other hand, I think they're a bunch of cowards, only rivaled or surpassed by the Republican Party.
I don't disagree with you, but one thing that I just want to put out there is that when authoritarians take over, one of the first things they do is get rid of the judiciary. Witness Viktor Orban in Hungary. Witness Netanyahu in Israel. The judges or the justices know this.
Yeah, they don't want to lose their jobs.
Well, it's not just their jobs that they would lose.
Well, Brent, what's your take
What?
on the what Dennis just called slightly red week?
Yeah, maybe. I guess everybody's making a big deal out of this Supreme Court going ahead and listening to this whatever this immunity thing is or lack thereof. Yeah, I mean, is there any surprise by that? I mean, come on. We know what's going on with them and who
You know,
they cater to.
I was a little surprised, only because I thought that the lower court's ruling, because I read it, just seemed so airtight.
Well, they split the baby there. It's not really about what the lower court decided.
Yeah. Well, that was, you mean because of the exact thing that the Supreme Court has decided to
Yeah.
hear? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the Supreme Court wants something as monumental as this to have been decided by a lower court. I think they want their precedent involved. It is very suspicious, though, why they need 9 weeks before they hear
Yeah.
oral arguments.
Yeah.
I just think that the thesis that we have to avoid going into the election without resolution to this. I think that's the play that Trump is all about. And if people are often defined by when they say the quiet stuff out loud, he's been saying this out loud and putting his money or somebody's money where his mouth is about this. He doesn't want this to get past the election.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think that if Dennis is right about the outcome here, it's the only way that I think it comes down to the election is if the people realize that it's their job to deal with this.
Look,
And that any kind of, relying on institutions is, gameable.
look,
You
I
know,
mean,
if I was running for president this year, running for, Congress this year, I would have one thing on my plate. It would be impeaching Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas and removing them from office. Of course, I'm from a blue state, so
At least it's not confused.
framework of Massachusetts.
Yes, Tina, go ahead.
organizing committee, blue wave.
Tina, you kept trying
Yeah,
to do that.
there's no doubt that they are capable of throwing of creating this delay and thereby doing a favor for Trump, because how delayed is it going to get? That's a little bit to be seen. So they're giving him the delay that he wants, but there's no way that they're going to decide that a president can do whatever the hell he wants and get away with it. I mean, no, I just cannot believe that. So we already know what they're going to,
The only way that could happen is if they were not forced to render an opinion. In other words, if it goes past the election, then it's going to be the voters that are going to render, or some subset of the voter.
Brent, what are you showing us? The Florida case, is this the
That was one of the other cases that was
what does
going
it
on
say?
today. Florida case, court adjourns with no trial date set.
She's the only thing she's gonna say it's because she wants to wait to hear what the Supreme Court does.
Which, it's an excuse, but at least it's a logical one. I mean, and they're going to take every excuse they can get not to do
Well, she is.
anything. Yeah, of course. So that immunity, like the Supreme Court, basically gave her the right to say what, I can't do a trial date yet. I gotta wait.
So thereby, okay, so this,
Well, in her case, that's a good thing because her rulings have been overturned left and right. And
More like left and left.
so the delay helps. And helps.
Actually, it was Atlanta. It was a circuit in Atlanta.
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Atlanta
you know,
is
but
left.
this makes the New York trial, which everyone in the beginning was saying that's the weak one. This makes it not really the weak one.
I
It's
don't
not
buy
a
that.
weak trial.
I don't buy that. I
Well, it
think
makes it the only one on tap.
it's just whack-a-mole. Everybody, oh, well, that one's not going to work. Let's try this one. And, last man standing. I mean, I don't buy it.
Isn't the New York one it's a criminal trial though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, it is. There are 34 felony indictments.
yeah. So I don't know how you say that.
You think that they're immune to being postponed out of existence? I don't.
Well,
But they haven't been.
as long as the donors keep giving Trump the money to do all this, it's going to be the same old, same old. They're going to use every trick in the book that your money can buy, and have no problems doing it.
The Stormy Daniels trial will go on time.
Really?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
And that
but
starts on the
It's
24th,
the only
right?
one before the election. I wouldn't bet
it'll
on.
be over. It'll be over by July 4th.
It also is a case that where the crime took place before he was the president. So whatever happens with the Supreme Court doesn't matter.
but we all know what's going to happen. Let's say there's a verdict and the verdict is guilty. He's going to appeal it and appeal it, and there's not going to be anything happening for the election.
He can appeal it, but when you're found guilty of a felony or 34 felonies, you don't just get to walk out and post a $10,000 bond.
Have we not seen where this guy does things that nobody else could get away with? I mean, come on.
Well, he did
I
try
tell
to post a 100. Didn't he say, "Look,
Yeah, how's that going?
I'll give you $100 million. We'll make a deal. Here's my deal. I'll give you $100 million. You let me out, and then I'll go and borrow the money, the rest of the money. And then
I know some contractors that would be really happy with this.
How's that going?
Okay, well, I got what I asked for.
You certainly
There you
did.
go. Yes, you did.
You should
Certainly
be
did.
sorry.
Certainly.
Anyway,
Uh,
my parting shot is I'm going to shave more often because I don't look as scruffy. I'm looking at myself. I'm like, I look so different with a shaved face than I do with all that Burl Ives look. So
We get to see your pretty face.
Burl
I don't
Ives.
know about that. Yeah, Burl Ives. He had
Like
that
this?
beard.
I love Burl Ives. He was one of my faves.
Silver and gold. I get it.
Okay.
That's all. I got.
That got Steve is like, what?
No, I mean, I didn't not
You remember
like.
that song, Silver and Gold? He's singing on that old.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I know who he is. Or
Burl
what.
Ives, or you know what? A better one, Grizzly Adams. All right,
Grizzly Adams.
I'm staying away from the
That
Grizzly
guy
Adams.
on Nellie Bell, the guy who used to drive the Jeep, Nellie Bell.
Nellie Bell?
Yeah,
I don't know that guy.
Gabby
Yeah.
Hayes.
Gabby Hayes. Ooh, I loved him too.
He was the original.
Every time I hear his name, I think of a spittoon, like ding, like.
That was on the
Ives.
curb thing where he's throwing the bagel to the panhandler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he hit the guy.
That was hilarious.
Oh, I love that show.
I love that whole thing where he becomes a historic star because he gave the woman the
Yeah.
bottle of water on.
A big civil rights hero,
Big
Larry
Sam,
David.
what a hero. It's funny though. As much as I love that show, there is a pace thing about that show that can get a little annoying.
Yeah.
Um,
A little?
but it's
It's
still
totally,
the
I
funniest
totally
show
agree
that
with
is.
you.
It's like this. It never stops. It's like
What about, all right,
Yeah.
I know this has turned into a complete curb show, but when last episode with Willie, what's his
Willie Geist. Oh, that was
Geist.
they
hilarious.
did the staring contest. That sucker lasted like 30 to 45 seconds. They kept on doing this. It was hilarious.
What was that? I don't remember that.
Oh, it was Willie Geist was doing a segment for the Today Show with about
Larry.
the historic moment of him
Yeah.
giving the bottle of water to the lady online in Georgia. And it turns out that he has no story to tell Willie Geist. And Willie Geist is like, does a staring thing with him to try and, is he telling the truth? And
Well,
it
remember,
was-
he was asking him about was he the one who was, what was the term they kept using? The big guy Jeff wrote the letter and he called himself
The disruptor or
Yeah,
disgruntled.
disgruntled. Are you
Are
disgruntled?
you
Yeah.
are you
Are you
disgruntled?
disgruntled? And then everybody did the Spartacus thing. That was hilarious. They
That was
all everybody on the golf course said, "I'm disgruntled."
But that's what Willie Geist asked Larry. Are you disgruntled? And he did.
Yeah.
And Larry's like,
But-
it sounds like me,
come
but
on,
it's not
that
me.
sequence where he could hear through the wall in the psychiatrist's office.
All right.
And Smooth was
luckily,
listening.
there are no spoilers here because
Dennis is like, what the hell are
yeah.
these guys talking about here?
sorry for anybody.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah, it's okay.
But I did
Just
break
doing some
down.
housekeeping on my browser. That's
You just go watch the show. You will not be if you haven't seen it. Of course, everyone here has. But if both of the viewers that are watching us right now haven't seen it, it's still worth watching.
Don't you say that.
Okay,
Giving
all
away our best secret.
No. You look at the numbers in a couple of days. They just
Well,
they
that's
pop
twice
way-
as many as
They
last
shoot way up. I mean, way up. The numbers are huge. They go way up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Huge.
Yeah, that's it.
Huge.
That's the ticket.
I thought he was hilarious
I
too.
think we just did last time. Yeah, he was
Well,
the liar.
I didn't.
Yeah.
What was his name? Still is his name.
He still is. Yeah, he's still there around. Don't see him very much
I
anymore.
was pretty impressed today to see as they were conducting Alexei Navalny's funeral, how many Russians were risking arrest, and
Yeah.
many got arrested just because they were not allowed to congregate in the street and support him. That was inspiring, and the world said goodbye to him today. And also, I'd like to say, I believe it's Roger Daltrey's 80th birthday.
Jesus.
Wow.
Birthday, Roger Daltrey, and he's looking pretty good still.
Wow. 80.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
80.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, that was my
I wonder how old
video.
Keith Moon is today.
Keith Moon. Well,
Yeah.
he's forever young.
yeah.
He was very, very. I spent about a week and a half with the Who in London and Brighton
In Brighton.
while they were filming.
Quadrophenia.
No, it was about doing a quadrophenia thing. Yeah.
No.
Well, the Acid Queen, Tina Turner, with the baked beans, that scene. I was at the bottom of that staircase, and Keith Moon and Entwistle were right there, and
Bass player.
they all. It was like Townsend's words of wisdom to me were, "Here, let me buy you a real drink." I used to drink. I used to drink, and
Didn't we all?
Courvoisier. I thought I was so.
Courvoisier.
Yeah, exactly. And he said,
And he gave you
Hennessy XO, I think he gave me.
Mm.
Very classy.
They just put the house of the lead singer from Queen. His house
Freddie Mercury?
Freddie Mercury's house is just going up for sale. He bought it for I think 78,000 pounds in sometime in the late 60s, early 70s. It's selling for 31 million pounds now.
I mean, they haven't sold it since then? I
No,
mean,
it went into a
wow.
trust and
Wow.
and now it's being sold. It's funny because his house is literally right down the
It's right
street
down
from
your
where
street, yeah.
it's just right down the street from where Mick Jagger lives, which
Oh.
is just there's a whole bunch of musicians in Kensington, a whole lot of them.
Where is Kensington?
It's central London. It's southwest of central London. It's
Here's the wheel. Where is Kensington?
The Eye, the London Eye, you mean?
you mean the Eye?
Yeah, the eye.
Okay, so
Oh,
if this is the Eye,
Yeah.
this is Kensington.
Ah, cool.
So if
Well,
you can
there
figure
you
that
go.
out, there you go. Now, if you happen to be on the,
Okay.
it could be like that, but
No,
It's on the other side
Please
of
don't
the river
confuse me.
from the Eye, though, right? Kensington, yes. So that's one thing, Steve.
so it's not
And it,
here. It's more
no,
like
it's
in
more
the
like here.
distance
It's
here.
here, and then if you were here, anyway.
just
See,
reminds me
This
of,
is why you can't get this on the Vision Pro. You just
No, actually, you could
Just
get this on
doesn't
a
work.
Vision Pro. You could actually.
the Liberty commercial where is it the Liberty where the pigeons are talking? He goes, yeah, which
Yeah.
way is
Which way is
He
north?
goes,
He goes,
That's
and the
up."
guy and the other pigeon says, "That's up,
Yeah.
moron." Doesn't say moron.
Anyway,
All right.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't.
Especially then.
See you again next time. Bye-bye.
There's going to be a next time?
yeah.
Hey, that's a good one. I like that.
Bye-bye.